Hi everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to calculate a linear regression equation and how to find the correlation coefficient using the calculators from the school. All right, so I'm going to use a January 2020 Regents question, number 35. And it says, Stephen collected data from a travel website. The data included a hotel's distance from Times Square in Manhattan and the cost of a room for one weekend night in August. A table containing these data appears below. So here we have this table. It says distance from Times Square, this is in city blocks, and then the cost of a room in dollars. What you're gonna do now is that you're gonna have your calculator with you, and you'll see that once you turn your calculator on, you get these options. You're gonna click the one that says list and spreadsheets right here, and you're gonna get this part. Once you have this open, you have to transfer the table that is given in the problem here into your calculator. So remember, A will be your X values and B will be your Y values. Do not write anything here on the equal sign. You're gonna start writing your values at number 1. So I'm gonna write my values for my X. So I have 0, 0, 1, 1, 3, 4, 7, 11, 14, and 19. You're gonna transfer them over here. So again, 0, 0, 1, 1, 3, 4, 7, 11, 14, and 19. Again, it's very important for you to make sure that you are including the correct numbers, only because a little number can really throw off everything. Now we're gonna do the same thing for our Y values. So we have 293, 263, 244, 224, 185, 170, 219, 153, 136, 111. All right, and I see that they match up. See, they all have a pair. Perfect. Now the next thing that we have to do is we have to go into our calculator. Make sure you're not selecting anything on your values, so don't click on one of these numbers on top and start this. Make sure you're clicking on something blank. Click where it says menu on your calculator, and again, I'm showing you the big calculator here on the side as well. So menu is right here. Once you click menu, you get these options, actions, insert that. You got to click where it says statistics. And then after statistics, you're clicking stat calculations, and you're clicking now linear regression mx plus b, because we want that linear regression. And for your X list, you're going to put your X values, and for your Y list, you're going to put your Y values, obviously. And then you're going to click OK. Once you click OK, you can scroll all the way up so you can see the whole thing. And here, it's going to give me my values for my M, because you already know that that's your slope. So my slope is here. My B, my Y-intercept, is 246.338. And the correlation coefficient, it can be tricky, but remember that it's only the R. We don't want the R to the power of 2. We want the R. That's the correlation coefficient. So it's this number right here. So next, I'm going to use that information to write my linear regression equation, because all I have to do is write that equation in. So I'm going to type it here. And again, if you did forget what the equation for a linear equation is, I'm going to type it just in case for everyone to see. So it's f of x equals mx plus b. Your calculator basically did all the work for you already. All you have to do is input the values that it's giving you. So instead of an m, you're going to have a different value. And instead of a b, you have the value that your calculator gives you. Let's try that. So you have f of x equals, and now let's see what it actually equals to. So your m, so we'll look for that m so we can put a value there. So I see here in my calculator that my m is equal to this number right here, but this is asking me to round all values to the nearest 100. So remember, we go after the decimal point, we have the tens and then the hundreds. So the 5 is the hundreds, and I have to look at the number that's to the right of it, the 6. and it tells me that I have to round up. So instead of a 75 here, the 7 and 5, 75, I'm going to have to round up. So that'll be 76. So negative 7.76. And don't forget to put your X there, because that's your inputs, plus B. Now I have to look for the B, and my calculator gives me that as well. So here, and again, I'm rounding to the nearest 100, so I look at that 3, which is in the hundreds place. I look to the number to the right of it, and I have to round up. So instead of a 33, it will be a 34. So 246.34. And that's it. So all I did is use what the calculator is giving me so that I can just create that equation. You just need your M and your B. The next thing is, again, the correlation coefficient, and that will be your R. So what does the R equal to? I'm going to have to figure that out by looking at the information that the calculator is already giving me. So it tells me that my R is this number right here. But again, I'm rounding to the nearest 100. So again, the hundreds place is a 7. I look at the number to the right of it, that's a 6. So it means I have to round up. So negative 0.88, because I have to round up. There we go. And I can see already that my correlation coefficient is negative. So it tells me that my line would show a negative slope. All right, explain what the sign of the correlation coefficient suggests in the context of the problem. When we talk about correlation coefficient, we always talk about direction. So you're telling me whether it's a positive or a negative relationship, and also you have to tell me whether it is strong, moderate, or weak. And I'm gonna pull up something just so you get a refresh, and we have this in our Google Classroom. But just for a reference, just know that the correlation coefficient is always going to be a number that is between -1 up to 1. So it'll never be bigger than that. I'm pulling it up right now. So here, this is what the correlation coefficient. So if we look back again, our correlation coefficient is negative 0.88. So it tells us right away that this is actually a negative relationship. And because it is close to, almost close between here, the -1 and the negative 0.80, it's going to be a strong relationship. So negative and strong. But that will be correct if it wasn't asking us this part. Explain what the sign of the correlation coefficient suggests in the context of the problem. So when we were talking about the story, we have to use what we know about the story so far. So we know that as the X's are increasing, the cost of the room is actually going to decrease. So the higher the city blocks are, so the more city blocks that you have to walk, the less it will cost for you to get a room. And that's what we're going to write here. So the further away from Times Square, the cheaper or lower the room would be. And again, if you look at your table, just to always make sure that you're doing this correctly, just look at this. So if you're 0 distance away from Times Square, this is going to be the cost of your room, like around almost like close to $300. But look at the extreme ones. So if you're 19 blocks away from Times Square, your room is only 111. So we can see that happening. Another thing that you can use to help you out is to think about the way that the graph will look. So this is my y-axis, and this is my x-axis. And I know that this is a negative relationship, so I know it's going to be like a straight line. Sorry, it's a little bit messed up, but it's going to be a straight line that has a negative slope. And I know that this is going to show that the higher the x values are, because they're going to increase here, the y value is going to decrease. So the cost of the room is going to be less because it's going down.